Okay, this is going to be the Unit 3, Lesson 3 for pre-calculus. We're going to go to a similar question, find all factors and solutions. Okay, so we're using synthetic division, so I got x cubed, x squared, x in number. Okay, so I have 3, 17, 3 again, and negative 35. Okay, since x plus 5 is a factor, that means that negative 5 would be in here. Okay, so 3 plus 0 would be 3, times that would be negative 15, that would be 2, 2 times that would be negative 10, negative 7 times that would be 35, and this is good, so that's the 0, so that's x squared, x, and remainder. Now, that means that I got 3x squared plus 2x minus 7. Okay, now, I'm going to save you some time here. That's not factorable, okay? So I got to find the solution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the quadratic formula, okay? The quadratic formula says negative b plus and minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, okay? So what I'm going to do here is this is a, this is b, this is c. So what I would have is negative 2 plus and minus 2 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 7 all over 2 times 3, okay? Now, what you do with the quadratic formula is go ahead and figure out the numbers underneath, okay? So I got 2 squared, always put parentheses around that, okay? Minus 4 times 3 times negative 7, okay? So I would get, for an answer, 88, okay? So I got negative 2 plus and minus the square root of 88 all over 6, okay? So you want to have parentheses here and parentheses here, okay? Now, I have to break down, actually for us, for our unit lesson, okay, if you can just get it to this, I'm okay with that, okay? We'll work on the quadratic formula a little bit more, all right, but for this unit, okay, that's good, all right? So my solutions here are negative 5, x equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 88 all over 6, okay? Now my factors, okay, my factors are going to be x plus 5, and this other factor here, this is not factorable since this is not a reduced square root. If you could reduce that square root, all right, my other factor would be 3x squared plus 2x minus 7, okay? Let's go on to another one. Let's say we're going to find all the factors and solutions. Okay, and let's say this is the function. Let's say I got 2x cubed, okay, minus 9x squared plus 16. And I'm going to tell you that x minus 4 is a factor. Okay, so what I want to do, all right, I got x cubed, x squared, x in number, so be careful. I'd put 2, negative 9, 0, and 16. Okay, since x minus 4 is a factor, there'd be a 4 there. That'd be 2, 2 times that would be 8, that'd be minus 1. That would be negative 4, that would be negative 4, negative 4 times this would be negative 16, and I get 0. So now this is going to be x squared, x in number. Okay. So I got 2x squared minus 1x minus 4. Now once again, this is not factorable, okay? All right, so my two factors so far are x minus 4 and 2x squared minus 1x minus 4, okay? Now, to find the solution out of that, we're going to do the quadratic formula. All right, negative b plus and minus negative 1 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 4 all over 2 times 2. Okay, let's figure out the part underneath the square root. Negative 1 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 4. And you get 33. That's 1 plus or minus the square root of 33 all over 4. Okay, so my solutions were x equals 4 and x equals 1 plus or minus the square root of 33 all over 4. Okay, all right. So what I would like you to do, I would like you to find all the solutions and factors of this function. 5x cubed minus 34x squared, okay, plus 26x plus 12. And I'm going to tell you that x minus 6 is a factor, okay? So go ahead and pause your video, okay? All right, and go ahead and find all those, okay? Go ahead and unpause. So I got x cubed, x squared, x number. Since x minus 6 is a factor, 6 would be there. All right, I got 5, negative 34, 26, and 12. Okay. 5 plus 0 is 5. 5 times 6 is 30. Negative 34 plus 30 is negative 4. Negative 4 times this is negative 24. This minus this would be 2. Okay. Where did I go wrong here? Should be 12. What did I do wrong here? 5x cubed. Minus 2x. Oh. That should be a 22. Sorry. That would make more sense. Okay, negative 2, negative 12, 0. Okay. There we go. Sorry about that. All right. Yep, so that's 22. All right. So what I got here is this would be 5x squared minus 4x minus 2. All right. If you figure out you can't factor it, that means your two factors are this. Okay? All right, I'm going to use the quadratic formula to come up with the solution. So I have 4 plus and minus, negative 4 squared, minus 4 times 5 times negative 2. All over 2 times 5. Okay? All I want to do is figure out the part that's underneath the square root. Negative 4x squared minus 4 times 5 times negative 2. Okay, that's going to be 56. So 4 plus and minus the square root of 56, all over 10. Okay, so my solutions are x equals 6, x equals 4, plus and minus the square root of 56, all over 10. Okay, if you want to reduce that, if you want to work on reducing that, that is fine. Okay? All right, now I want to move on to something else. It's called synthetic substitution. Okay? And here's how basically this works. We'll just do two problems. I'll do one, you'll do one. It'll say something like evaluate. Let's say f of negative 7 for plus 1. Okay? Using synthetic substitution. Okay? Now, while this looks complicated, it's actually easy. What's convenient about synthetic division or synthetic substitution is this. If I do synthetic division, okay, so I got x cubed, x squared, x number, 9, okay, negative 5, 2, and 1, okay? All I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this in the box. That's going to become my little half box. Okay, 9 times 0 would be 9. 9 times this would be negative 63. Negative 5, that would be negative 68. Okay, I've quickly built this up pretty quick. Negative 68 times negative 7 is 476. Okay, 2 times 4, or 2 plus 476 would be 478. 478 times that times negative 7 is negative 3,046. So 1 minus 3346 is negative 3345. Now, basically what synthetic substitution says is the remainder is what it would evaluate at. Okay? So basically, if you use synthetic division and substitute that number, whatever is the remainder, ends up being what I would evaluate at. So that is another interesting property. So basically what it means is f of a number will equal the remainder. Okay? So that's something that you could apply in here. Okay? Let's have you guys do one. Okay? Let's say it said evaluate using synthetic substitution. Let's say f of x is 2x cubed minus 4x squared plus 2x minus 1, and we're going to find f of 5. Okay? Go ahead and pause your video and work through that. Go ahead and unpause. So what I would do is I put 5 here, x cubed, x squared, x number, 2, negative 4, 2, negative 1. 2 plus 0 would be 2. 2 times that would be 10. Negative 4 plus 10 would be 6. 6 times 5 would be 30. 2 plus that would be 32. 2 times that would be 160. This would be 159. Okay? So basically, what that would evaluate to is 159. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. Okay? All right? Let's say this were my function. 5x cubed minus, let's say 7x squared. Let's say minus 5x plus 6. Okay? So here's what we're going to find. We're going to find all the possible zeros. And we're going to use Descartes. Let me get the exact terminology for you. We're going to use Descartes' rule of signs to find the number of positive zeros and the number of negative zeros. Okay? And I'll explain how that works. Okay? To figure out the number of possible zeros, here's what you're going to look at. You're going to look at the last number and the first number. Okay? So I'm going to take the factors, plus and minus the factors of my last number, divided by plus and minus the factors of the leading coefficient. Okay? So, what are the factors of 6? 1, 2, 3, and 6. What are the factors of 5? Pretty easy. 1 and 5. All right? Let me move this Descartes thing down a little bit. We'll come back to that in a second. Okay, so all the possible zeros. Really simply, we're going to divide all of those by 1. So the possible zeros, all right, plus and minus, 1 divided by 1 would be 1. 2 divided by 1 would be 2. 3 divided by 1 would be 3. 6 divided by 1 would be 6. Okay? Then I'm going to take them all and divide them all by 5. So plus and minus, 1 divided by 5 would be 1/5. Plus and minus 2 divided by 5 would be 2/5. Plus and minus 3 divided by 5 would be 3/5. 6 divided by 5 would be 6/5. Okay? So those are the possible real zeros. Okay? Now let's talk about Descartes' sign change rule. Okay? So for the positive zeros, okay, what you do is you look at sign changes in original function. Okay, so if I look at the original function, it goes from positive to negative, so that's 1. stays negative, goes back to positive. So the number of positive zeros is 2 or 0. Now, why do I say or 0? Whatever this number is here, subtract by 2, okay? So for instance, if this number would have been a 3, it would have been 3 or 1. If it would have been a 4, it would have been 4 or 2 or 0, okay? If it would have been 5, it would have been 5 or 3 or 1. Now all we're looking at is the possible numbers, okay? So that's sort of the concept there. All right, that tells you how many possible. So basically you got 2 positive zeros or none, okay? Now, to figure out the negative zeros, do the odd function test, which is substituting negative x, okay? Now this is something we did in the first unit, okay? Is I substituted this negative, all right, for x. Now what happens? In odd functions, remember that changes it. In even functions, it keeps it. So change, and that's just a number, okay? So, at this point, how many sign changes? Negative, here's 1, and then it stays positive. So this answer would have been 1 or 0, okay? All right, 1 or 0. Actually, sorry, just 1. Just 1. Okay? It's not an even interval. Okay? Let's do 2 more of those together. Let's say I got f of x, 8x to the 4th plus 10x cubed minus 5x squared plus 2x minus 9. Okay? Now let's do minus. Let's change this to 4. And we'll go 4 and 6. 4 and we can do 10. No, let's do 6. It's fine. Okay, so let's figure out first of all the possible zeros. Okay, so what I would do, I got plus and minus, the factors of 6, 1, 2, 3, and 6. The factors of 4, 1, 2, and 4. So, what does that mean for possibilities? All of these divided by 1. That's pretty easy. Plus and minus 1, plus and minus 2, plus and minus 3, plus and minus 6. Then all of these divided by 2. 1 divided by 2 would be a half. 2 divided by 2 is 1. That's already there. 3 divided by 2 would be 3 halves. 6 divided by 2 is 3. It's already there. Then everything divided by 4. 1/4. 2 divided by 4 would be a half, which is there. 3 divided by 4 would be 3/4. 6 divided by 4 would be 3 halves. So here is the possible number of real zeros. Okay? Now let's look at the positive possibilities. Possible positive zeros. Okay, let's count the sign changes in the original. Positive, positive, okay? So in the original I got 1 sign change, then 2, then 3. Okay, so I got 3 or 1 for the positive real zeros. Okay, the negative ones. What I want to do is I want to evaluate that. So that will stay 4x to the 4th. This will change. This will stay negative 5x squared. This will change. And then I got this. Boom. Okay? So if I look at that, positives and the rest negatives, so the only number of negative real zeros is 1. Okay? All right? Okay? I would like to give you guys one to do on your own. All right? F of x equals 6x to the 5th plus 8x squared minus 10x minus 15. So here's what we're going to find. We're going to find the possible, okay, the positive, and the negative. Okay, so go ahead, pause your video and you can work on that. Okay, the possible ones, plus and minus, factors of 15 are 1, 3, and 5, and 15. Factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. So everything divided by 1, that's easy. 1, 3, 5, 15. Okay? 1 divided by 2 would be a half. 3 divided by 2 would be 3 halves. 5 divided by 2 would be 5 halves. 15 divided by 2 would be 15 halves. Okay? Now I'm going to divide all of them by 3. 1 divided by 3 would be a third. 3 divided by 3 would be 1, that's already there. 5 divided by 3 would be 5 thirds. 15 divided by 3 would be 5, already there. Now I'm going to divide them all by 6. 1/6. 3 divided by 6 will be a half. Is that there yet? Yep, that's already there. 5 divided by 6 would be 5/6. And then 15 divided by 6 would be 5 halves, which I think is already here. Okay? All right, let's check out the positives. Okay? All right, how many sign changes? Positive, positive, negative. Okay, so there's only one sign change. So 1, possible, 0. Okay? Then I'm going to evaluate and put negative x in. So now it's going to become negative 6x to the 5th. Keeps as positive 8x squared. Changes to positive 10x minus 15. Okay? So I got 1 change, 2 changes. Okay? So I would have 2 or 0. Okay? And so that's the unit for, that's the lesson for, third unit for lesson, unit 3. All right? Takes a little bit of practice, but you should be able to get that.